Studio, but once again, I am able to bring you exciting women from around the globe because we're not restricted to shooting in studio. So today I have a guest for you all the way down from nice and sunny North Carolina, a little sunnier than we are up here in the north.
Yep.
And so we're bringing you Kelly Ruta today. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming. Kelly is joining us today. She is a clinical psychotherapist of 20 years who then made a pivot and started her own business. Reading this here as in breakthrough mindset entrepreneurial. So she helps women with mindset, breaking through who they are, becoming entrepreneurs, growing their entrepreneurial experiences. And I think this is just such a great topic, especially now when people need to pivot. And I think women sometimes struggle with this more than men. So we're going to solve this for everybody today. Kelly's going to help you with your mindset and with breaking through. But Kelly, can we start back when? So you were a clinical psychotherapist for 20 years.
Yes.
What was that like? And what was that spark that made you change?
That's a great question. So being a clinical psychotherapist was extremely fulfilling. I ended every day knowing that I had done good in the world with people, that I was truly helping people. I had the honor of witnessing people get well and change their lives and change their relationships. And I had no plans for my future to be anything but a clinical psychotherapist in private practice, really for the rest of my career. I had bought into the whole, you work until this age, you go to school, then you go to graduate school, then you work, and then you retire. And then, I don't know, you move to Florida or something. I don't really know. I hadn't thought that part all the way through. So I didn't really have plans of making any sort of pivot whatsoever. But after about 18 or so years in, I started to notice a little bit of a change. I started to notice that while the quality of my work was not changing, that my sense of happiness and joy and fulfillment and being on purpose was starting to change. And it didn't mean that I loved my clients or my work any less, but I was noticing, because being on purpose every day is so very important for me with my work. I was noticing I wasn't feeling that fire in my belly that I had felt for so long. And it was really a bit unnerving. I'm going to be totally honest with you, because, I had made the plan, and the plan for life was going to go in this very straight line. And I should have known better, because nothing in my life has ever gone in that straight line ever. And about a couple years into my private practice here in North Carolina, I was sitting at my desk one evening, wrapping up paperwork and doing some things online. And I just became very, very aware inside of myself of really what I would refer to as a stirring, as a nudge, as a strong inkling, and really heard inside of myself, and no, not in a diagnosable kind of way, but, listening to my inner voice, said, it's time for you to do some bigger things. It's time for you to be more visible. It's time for you to create more impact. It's time for you to speak to more people and help more people. And it scared the heck out of me, because
but let me just ask you. So that's yeah. Okay then. I think a lot of people do that, right? That I made this plan,
right? And
if I don't follow the plan, I was somehow wrong. Is that?
Yes. This is the feedback I got, because I went to, undergrad, then I went to graduate school, then I did postgraduate work. I had school loans out the wazoo. And so when I decided to make a leap into primarily the online space as an entrepreneur in the mindset niche, everyone who knew me thought I had lost my mind. They said, you have these degrees, you have a lot of school debt, you have all of these years in this field, and you're just going to walk away from the plan? And my answer was a definitive absolutely. That is absolutely what I am going to do. And the way I looked at it was, I'm not walking away from something, I'm running towards something. And that really was a defining moment for me when I realized I could stay in this and do good work and make great money and have a very respectable career, or I could take this risk and quite possibly live a life and have a career that was beyond my wildest dreams.
That's amazing. And it's so funny, as you said, you were running toward your dream.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I learned the same thing in Taekwondo class, where they said you never run from danger, you run toward safety. Mm-hmm. So same mindset, right? Where if you're unhappy, you can't run away from that. But if you see happiness, go for it.
Sprint towards it. And quite often it will feel like, maybe even this is true with Taekwondo, it feels like you're running towards something that is actually dangerous, when in reality, I think that staying in a place that feels safe, but is either sucking the life out of you, or is not fulfilling you, or is no longer in alignment. You know, we make dreams when we're in our teens and 20s. And when you're in your 40s and 50s, those things change because you change and you've evolved. And I think it's actually more dangerous to your well-being to stick to the plan when you know that there is something that could be more fulfilling out there for you, but you just decide to stay put because that's the plan I made and we're going to stick to the plan. And I actually don't think that that is the best thing for you.
Right. Because you talk about the devil you know, but the devil you know is still the devil. So
right.
Why are you staying there, right? Just
yes. Go for it. And there are very significant reasons why people do this. Number one, our brains are wired to keep us where we are. Your brain, the neural networks and the way it fires is right now supporting the normal you're in, not the normal that you want to go create. So it feels dangerous and it feels uncomfortable and it feels hard. That's what I hear a lot of people say, but that's so much work. That's so hard because your brain's not quite on board yet. Mm-hmm. And number two, a lot of women especially have been trained to be people pleasers. So unless you have the ability to say to people, I know this might make you uncomfortable, or you might have doubts or fears about what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway because inside of myself, I know, I feel it. This is the right thing for me. Then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. Yeah. You can't be a people pleaser and also stay true to yourself at the same time. It's nearly impossible.
And so now you did what so many people are afraid to do. What did you do?
I took a leap of faith. So I decided that I was going to not listen to what society says you should do, get this degree and stay in that job forever, and then go to Florida. And so I decided to listen very intently to what I was hearing inside, which were these messages about bigger, bolder, more visible, more impact, but also busting through my own comfort levels and ceilings around things like having to work yourself to the bone. What it is to make good money, what that really actually means, having more freedom around time and around doing work the way I want to do work, not the way somebody else is dictating that I have to do it. And so I hired a business coach who was, really an expert in the online space, and much faster than I anticipated, I realized there's a huge gap in the entrepreneur industry. And that is what is often taught when it comes to mindset, is this very fluffy sort of conscious level, make a vision board, visualize your goals stuff. And what was missing was really the deep, deep work that most coaches were not trained to do well with their clients. And I knew I could bring that to the table. So I took my 20 years of experience and my degrees and my thousands of hours of practice, and I brought it to this space with an intention to up-level the space and really disrupt it and have people say, I expect much, much more when I work with somebody on mindset and personal development as an entrepreneur than what was previously offered. And I just made the leap and trusted that the path would show up, and it has every step of the way.
So you still have clients, and you still have clients, right? But instead of, I don't know, solving just what's in their head for personal life, you're solving what's in their head for their business life. So
yeah. So it's really addressing, how do you create new habits of thought? How do you reprogram your subconscious mind, which is incredibly important and science-based. This is not just some sort of out there, concept. It comes from science. How do you learn how to address everything that's going to be triggered when you're a business owner? Because owning a business will trigger it'll push every button you have, and then it's going to reveal a bunch of buttons you didn't even know you had. So you have to learn how to be in command of yourself and not be reactive, and learn how to be responsive and build confidence and build visibility and price accordingly. That's all very emotional stuff. It's not just tactical, and also teach people how to make decisions differently, lead differently, and then create habits of how you consistently show up in your business. So your business is consistently growing and providing more value to people in the market. And that is all about who you're being in your business, not just the strategies and tactics that you've put into your business model.
And I think so you had to work through these things yourself. How did you make, right? Because you're a mom, you have kids. How did you make that leap of the corporate 9 to 5, which is very secure, and you have people who are depending on you?
Mm-hmm.
How did you do it? And then how would you help other women do that who are doing the same thing, going, but I can't, I have all these responsibilities to others?
Mm-hmm. So the very first thing, which is going to sound almost obnoxiously reductive and simple, is you've got to stop speaking to yourself in closed-ended statements and questions. So it's not can I or can't I. If you're clear that you have a deep desire to, have act number 2 in your career, or number 3, whatever you're on, the question must be how, not can I or can't I. The question is how. And so this required a lot of discussion with my husband, my kids, colleagues, hiring people to help me learn how to, the online business world, I had zero experience in that. That was like, a whole new frontier for me. But I knew I was bringing a really strong clinical skill set that was missing in the industry. And I felt very confident that I would be able to really help women level up. So my confidence was there. And where I didn't have confidence, I hired people to help me. So I did not know how to structure an online business and market it and scale it. So I hired experts to do that. But, as a woman and a wife and a mother and somebody who just has an individual life, I did not want to proceed with, I can either be a successful entrepreneur, or I can be healthy, a good wife, a good mom, a good friend, a balanced, for as much as that word can even come to fruition, human being. And so I had to really practice being of the mindset that you can have all things, you just don't have them all at once. Mm-hmm. And so I had to take a step back and look at my 20 years plus all my education and take the time to extract from all of that what I could bring to the table in a system that people could go through in a program and apply on rinse and repeat and create incredible, massive, mind-blowing results. So I had to slow down, get that all out of my head and all out of my experience and put into a program, which took a bit, and then get to work marketing it and bringing people in. And so it required patience. It required an immense amount of support. I know too many smart, ambitious women who are like, no, I got it. I can do it all myself. I'm good. If I can handle kids and marriage and work and all these other things, I can certainly do this myself. I do not recommend that. If you prefer to take the slow, hard path, that's your path. I don't recommend it. So asking for help and allowing other women and men to step in and say, I can help you with this and create faster results. That was big for me because I was so hyper independent. And also just permission, giving myself permission to follow my inner guidance and follow my dreams and follow the visions that were starting to come. I was starting to see what was possible and not ask other people for permission to follow them, but just ask myself.
So just really interesting themes there. So permission, you're getting permission from yourself to move forward, but you don't get permission from others.
Right.
But you can accept help from others. So
yes.
So there's a big difference there between
Huge.
saying, may I do this? And would you help me?
Huge. You put it beautifully. And that is the difference. That's the difference. And so even in my marriage, we don't ask each other permission about things. We respectfully discuss things. And I tend to be a leaper. That's just sort of my nature. And so my husband's an engineer. They don't leap. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how you do things. Yep. So my leaps were a little, they were a little nerve-wracking for him. And so we had to talk through them so that everybody was on board. But it wasn't about getting his permission. It was about getting him to a place where he felt more secure in what I was doing so that it wasn't stressing him out all the time. And once he got there, I mean, he's by far my biggest cheerleader. And same thing with friends. They were like, well, I don't know what this is all about, but if you're deciding it's the right thing for you, I believe in you and you'll make it happen. And now, they see what has happened and they're thrilled and excited and also asking me, how did that happen? How did you do that? So yeah.
And now interesting. So you said your leaping rattled your husband. I imagine though that his methodical way of addressing things probably drives you crazy.
Bananas. That is my kind cable TV way of saying it. Bananas. So, but here is what I have learned from this process, right? Is that the combination of a leaper and somebody who is a methodical, detail-oriented person. So I am more of a visionary person and he is more of a detail person. Mm-hmm. The minute we stopped trying to convince the other one that this way was the right way, and we realized, oh, actually, when you put those two together, that is a very powerful force of nature. Then I was able to make even more leaps in my business. And I also realized the team that would help me get to where I want to go, they're all methodical, detail-oriented, systems-creating people who have just bought into my vision and they help me get there. So I'm up in a hot air balloon all the time, visioning things, and they are tethering me to the ground so I don't fly away. That's basically how it works.
So there's not wrong, there's just different, but also it sounds like what a great combination. You need both.
Yes, absolutely. And as long as you can see that it's not about one person is right and one person is wrong, it's about how do we meld these two styles of being together so that there can be a powerful outcome, then everything begins to shift, whether it's with your partner and spouse or whether it's with the people you contract or hire on your team to help you create that vision. Makes no difference. That's the way you have to look at it.
All right. Now I want to check on an age a little bit here because we are talking about a certain age. Mm-hmm. Do you see any advantage to being of a certain age versus being a kid? Because, you look at like these newspapers or magazines and they talk about top 30 under 30, right? Top 40 under 40. And I get a feeling that sometimes you have more courage and more ability when do you have more mileage? How do you feel about that?
I think that courage morphs. So the courage I had in my 20s was more about, it was very bold. It was very brazen. It was very nothing can stop me. I still don't think anything can stop me, but it was different, right? I didn't have children. I wasn't married. I didn't do any of that until I was in my 30s. I was just kind of living my life and, going to grad school, hanging out with my friends, having a good time. And it was really just a different kind of courage. So for me, leaping into graduate school and paying for it myself took courage because I had never taken on such an enormous debt like that. That took courage for me. But, once I had children and got married, life changed dramatically. And now that I'm almost 50, I have a wisdom that I did not have before that gives me a different type of courage that has more depth. It's given me more patience. I have understood in a way I could not before that you play the long game. In your 20s, you're not playing for the long game. You're just looking to get started.
Playing for the weekend.
You're playing for the weekend is right. Absolutely. But, when you're older, especially 40 and beyond, you understand, I'm making decisions so that 15 years from now, 20 years from now, this continues to pay off in whatever way, literally, financially, or leaving a legacy or a business you can pass on, whatever it is. That requires a different kind of courage. So I think we have courage all along, but it does morph over the years. And I will tell you, my 40s have been my favorite decade, hands down by far. And I am super excited about getting into the 50s. I cannot wait. I'm not rushing it. I have a year to go, but I am really excited about this next chapter.
So I'm going to look for some advice from you now for women who do want to make this leap or feel that little urge inside. How do you find the courage, and I know you can ask other people to help, but is there something a little more tactical? Are there steps people can take to find what their next calling is? Well, I think you're calling it Kelly Act 2, right? So Woman Act 2, how do they actually start? Like, what are the steps they can take today to be more fulfilled 10 years from now?
So a couple of things. Number one, what do you catch yourself daydreaming about? What do you catch yourself drifting off and thinking about? Is it a vacation home? Is it traveling? Is it, you see yourself doing a different kind of work? What is it that you catch yourself daydreaming about? That's number one. Number two is you have to slow down and create clarity. So you've got to take the time to get really quiet, to tune in and listen to that voice that's speaking to you and trying to get your attention, and even drop in a journal. If fear wasn't a problem, if money wasn't an obstacle, if time wasn't your obstacle, what would you be doing? Who would you be being? And what would you be having if none of those obstacles were in the way? And then you've got to connect to how all of that makes you feel. If that excites you, if that lights you up, if that, scares the heck out of you, but really puts a fire in your belly, then that is an inclination that's what you need to be working towards. And so continue every day to play with that until it becomes so clear that this passion, this desire, this calling is just this much bigger than your fear. And the minute it's this much bigger than your fear, that's your opportunity to take action. That's when you go get help to start to create act number 2.
That's amazing. I never thought of it that way, but daydreaming is a good thing. And I think especially now, and this is just my impression, because we're in a difficult situation where I think people were in the freeze mode, right? So if something bad happens and you freeze, or was it flee, fright, freeze? There are all these different things you can do. And we were given no option. There is no fight. There is no fleeing. There's nowhere to go, right? So you freeze. But I think if we can just get over that, this is the perfect time, because you have time right now to think. You have time to dream. You're stuck at home.
Yeah. There's
take advantage of that.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And fight, flight, and freeze can be literal or it can be figurative, right? It can be a physical response or it can be a mental response. Right. And so I will tell you right now, my business is thriving. It's thriving amidst everybody saying the world is burning down and businesses are closing and we're going into a recession and blah, blah, blah. My business is doing better than ever. So there are lots of people who are pivoting how they're showing up, their messaging, their human connection with other people. and their businesses are thriving as a result of it. And that's because mentally I did not freeze. Mentally, I did not run away. Literally, I didn't run away. I keep showing up and showing up and showing up, asking people, how can I help you? How can I help you? And then actually giving them solutions that work. So you can mentally freeze, or you can decide this is my opportunity to begin to build something out that is going to last far longer than this virus or any recession that we might be going into. You have to remember these things are temporary, but you're going to play the long game. So you can start playing with that, or at least being curious about it right now in your journal, or you can mind map, or you can do whatever your expression is. But now is the perfect time to take your attention off all the things that are scary out there and unpredictable, and turn it inward and get clear on what you desire. Because remember, virus or no virus, every day is unpredictable. Mm-hmm. This is no different than any other day, other than the volume is turned up and there is a danger that we have to specifically protect ourselves from. But every day there's something unpredictable going on in business and in life. So if you're going to react all the time, you're never going to get to your second act. So why not take advantage of one of the silver linings that this is bringing forward, which for some people is some time and some space.
And I guess we need to give ourselves perhaps permission to not be afraid. Because I think, don't you get in this bubble, like I'm supposed to be afraid. I'm supposed to be mindful and not trying because I need to hide in a corner and, buy toilet paper. Is the first thing we need to do is to give our permission to ourselves to say, the world's a scary place. Like you said, not just now, but always stuff happens. And we need to just live our lives.
Yeah. I mean, what I tell my clients all the time is don't worry or put any effort into not being afraid. Being afraid is part of the human condition. And there are scary things. So let's not deny that there are things that will stir fear up for you. The question is not, should I or shouldn't I be afraid? The question is, what are you going to do even though you are afraid? And that's what separates people who freeze and who go down with, the doom and gloomers from people who rise regardless of external circumstances. And I decided a long time ago that I was going to be one of those people, that it didn't matter what was going on in the world or in my personal life, that I would continue to rise. And that is 100% mindset. But be very clear, I am not fearless. And the successful people I know, not fearless. They're courageous, which just means you continue to act regardless of how afraid you are.
Despite the fear.
Right. So when we have more people doing that, whether it's in your business, your personal life, or at your job or with your family, you will continue to evolve as a person and as your own personal success story.
Well, thank you for that, because I feel like you put such good perspective on it that we just grasp it, move on. So just tell me real quick here, what is next for you? Because you're a busy woman. What's next?
I am. So I would like to say that I'm playing with a lot of things. A podcast is definitely next. That will be coming out. That is all about mindset and entrepreneurship. So
does it have a name yet?
No, we have two names, so I have to decide.
Okay. All right. We'll have to look for that. Okay.
It's coming this year. And I am toying with writing a book. And definitely once all of this stuff calms down, much more speaking from the stage, speaking on television. I do a lot of podcasting, but I would like to be on more stages and on more television, reaching more people in an impactful way. So a big push for that. And really just, getting, my kids are 16 and 13, and just getting them geared up for their next phase of life, which is a whole undertaking in and of itself, as many of you already know. So constantly working on my own sense of humor. That is a work in progress always. But those are the things I'm playing with right now. And I'm getting really excited about as we're working behind the scenes to really scale my business to touch more women across the globe. That is the big push right now, is how many women can we get this work into the hands of? Because when women thrive in business, the world as a whole heals, improves, and grows. And that is my ultimate goal with my work in the world.
Well, thank you for sharing with us today, because I think you've given me courage, and hopefully the viewers the women out there have gotten some courage from you. I think you've given us great perspective to move on and do the next thing. So thanks so much, Kelly.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
All right. Bye-bye.